What you're about to see is yet another example of how a congressional hearing can be twisted from a policy discussion into a culture war spectacle. Instead of engaging with the substance of what's actually at stake, the conversation gets dragged into a manufactured battlefield where outrage replaces inquiry, performance replaces governance, and the goal isn't solving problems, it's...
Thank you, Madam Chair. It never gets boring in here. And I'd like to say thank you to the witnesses for being here and for taking the time. Ms. DeVito, thank you for coming here. In your testimony, you said that Americans deserve a government that works for them, a government that makes their lives easier and more secure. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Great. I'd like to read through a couple of the grants that Doge has pulled back, and I'd like to get your take on them. They pulled back a $1.5 million NIH grant to Morehouse College. It was called the Center to Advance Reproductive Justice and Behavioral Health among Black, pregnant / postpartum women and birthing people. Do you think that that makes Americans' lives easier and more secure?
I think that medical and scientific research of all types.
Do you think that that constitutes critical research? According to your testimony, NIH grants are critical research.
I think that government research of all types in the medical...
Including of birthing people?
I think bench research of all types plays a fundamental role.
What is a birthing person?
Sir, I am here to talk about the Doge impact.
Well, I'm asking you about this grant and you're defending it. So I'm asking you, who is birthing people?
I am not familiar with this grant. I take a position that all kinds of government research, medical, pharmaceutical,
Is a birthing person a woman? Is that another word for a female?
That is outside the scope of my expertise.
Seems like erasure language to me. I've been told that that type of vernacular constitutes erasure language. How about another one? How about the conference, Gender Equity in the Mathematical Study of Commutative Algebra? Do you think that that's a valid form of government spending?
I think mathematical research of all types is deserving of government.
What about studying, and this is directly from the National Science Foundation's website, women and non-binary mathematicians?
Again, I think all kinds of government investment should be dedicated toward mathematical.
All kinds of government investment. You don't have any kind of limit on what we're spending our money on? Just everything? Is that your testimony?
I am talking about Doge. You brought up
So am I. This is a grant that Doge cut.
I am not familiar with this particular grant, but I think government investment in mathematical, biological.
Okay. Let's do another one. This one is called #Transcendent Health, adapting an LGB plus inclusive teen pregnancy prevention program for transgender boys. I can't even say this without laughing. Do you think that that is a useful form of our tax spend?
I am not familiar with that grant, but I think bench research, government investment in scientific and pharmaceutical
teen pregnancy
research.
for transgender boys. Do you think that that is a useful spend of our tax dollars?
I think government investment in all kinds of scientific research is of the utmost importance.
Including pregnancy prevention for transgender boys. Okay. Let me ask you, we can come back to this later maybe. Do you support abolishing the filibuster still?
I am here to talk about Doge respectfully.
Right. We could abolish the filibuster and get a lot of Doge cuts through. And you've written at length on your Twitter about abolishing the filibuster. I'm just curious if you think that we should do that still.
I did a lot of previous work on different topics because I am an economic policy expert, and respectfully, I'm here to talk about Doge cuts.
Okay, but we could abolish the filibuster and get Doge cuts. This is totally germane here. Do you think we should?
I am here to talk about Doge cuts, not strategies for achieving more of them, but the harms that they have produced for working families.
That's a convenient change of opinion. I noticed that most of your comments about the filibuster were during the Biden administration. But we can move on. Let's go back to some more of these grants. Do you think that we should be spending money on, quote, the racialized basis of trait judgments from faces?
I am not at all familiar with that grant.
It's a $500,000 NSF grant.
Okay, I am not familiar with the subject matter or the particular grant.
But you're defending these.
I am saying that I think the government
You're pretty adamant against Doge cuts, and I'm asking you if you support the cuts
I think that there
Doge has found.
Economic and medical, public health, communal benefit to
What
the
about
government
cross-sex
investing
steroid therapy and cardiovascular risk in the transgender female?
Again, I think government investment in scientific research is
Great.
important.
Thank you for your testimony. I appreciate it.
The gentleman's time.
Generating clips for partisan media. The witness was there to testify about the consequences of deep, sweeping budget cuts. Rep. Gill chose to spend his entire time trying to force the witness into a political trap about gender terminology. This is not oversight. This is not governance. This is performative outrage designed to go viral. The witness repeatedly tried to redirect the conversation back to the actual issue, how the Department of Justice's cuts to scientific and medical research harm working families. That's the point of the hearing. That's what the data is about. But Gill's strategy was to derail the moment by hyper-focusing on words like birthing people and asking intentionally provocative questions. And this is something we've seen across several hearings. When the facts don't work for them, some Republicans try to turn the moment into a culture war argument instead of a policy discussion. Let's talk about the term birthing people, because Republicans have turned it into a lightning rod without ever explaining the context. The phrase is used in certain medical studies to inclusively describe anyone who can become pregnant, including cisgender women, transgender men, and some non-binary people. It does not replace the word women. It does not erase women. It simply reflects biological reality in a medical context. Health researchers use more precise language because precision leads to better outcomes, better treatments, and more accurate data. The GOP's decision to weaponize this terminology is a political choice, not a scientific one. But here's the part they never address. Every grant Gill mocked, from reproductive justice research to studies on mathematical equity to public health programs designed to reduce teen pregnancies, exists because Congress, under both Democrats and Republicans, has long understood that public research drives progress. Republicans may pretend these grants are wasteful, but these types of investments have historically led to breakthroughs in maternal health, disease prevention, and community safety. These are the programs that actually save lives and strengthen families. Gill repeatedly dismissed areas of research he didn't understand as laughable or useless. That's not oversight, that's ignorance. And it shows a fundamental misunderstanding of how scientific progress works. Breakthroughs start in places that don't look flashy or politically convenient. They start in small labs, with small grants, with researchers exploring ideas that eventually change the country. And there's another layer here. When Gill pressed the witness about the filibuster, he wasn't seeking information. He was trying to paint her as politically biased, while simultaneously ignoring the fact that Republicans themselves have repeatedly pushed to eliminate the filibuster when it benefited them. It's selective outrage, nothing more. At the end of the day, this hearing wasn't about birthing people. It wasn't about math grants. It wasn't about filibuster debates. It was about one thing: distracting viewers from the real impact of these budget cuts on everyday Americans. These cuts affect cancer research, maternal mortality programs, rural healthcare access, mental health services, and scientific innovation. That's the conversation Republicans didn't want to have. If you take anything away from this exchange, let it be this: when lawmakers would rather mock science than fund it, the people who pay the price are not academics or researchers. It's families, communities, and the next generation of Americans who rely on evidence-based policy. Oversight is supposed to protect the public, not score political points. If you want more content that breaks down these hearings without the noise, without the spin, and with facts that actually matter, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned. We're cutting through the chaos so you don't have to.